I've been coaching contractors for 7 years, and we have generated over 5 million in profit and 30 million in revenue using a specific growth strategy you'll probably never find anywhere else. This strategy is so powerful that our clients, James Romano, used it and scaled to 5 million per year. Ben doubled his profit in just 3 months, and Rob doubled his revenue in 12 months. And so many more other contractors have used it to succeed. In this video, I'll be revealing exactly what this strategy is, how it works, and give you a complete roadmap to make millions of profit without wasting years of your time. If you can't watch this video to the end, then just leave now, because I don't want contractors watching my videos who aren't serious about growth. But if you are serious about it, then keep watching. As you know, every large business has strong foundations. It's the same with your construction business. You need solid foundations to grow properly and make millions of dollars in profit. This strategy starts with 3 key foundations every contractor must have. The first foundation is deep market research. Many contractors fail because they don't even bother to think about this, let alone go through the steps of figuring it out. Now, it may sound daunting, like, how do I research my market? Essentially, you want to be looking at your competitors. So what are your competitors doing? What do they look like? What kind of clients do they have? Do they have specific niches? Then you want to look at your city. Ask past clients of yours. If you have past clients or people in your network, you want to be inquisitive and curious about what is going on inside your niche, inside your neighborhood, inside your city, and figure out what are the weaknesses, what are the strengths of your competitors, so that you know how to position yourself properly, which is foundation number 2. Through good positioning, you can eliminate a lot of your competition, demand higher prices, and have easier sales. So many contractors want to jump into lead gen and marketing and, let's put out ads, let's get out signs and banners and all this stuff, which is necessary, but you miss the initial steps and the foundation, which is why often, even if you're doing the right things on marketing, it's not producing the right results. Now, positioning, there is red ocean and there is blue ocean. Red ocean is contested waters. That's where all the sharks are swimming. That's where all the fishermen are. These are your big demographics. These are your big industries, if you will, like home building. Blue ocean is specific. It's a smaller niche typically, and there is not a lot of competition there. So maybe you do high-end luxury homes on waterfront properties. Maybe you only work with families who need extra living space doing, additions or ADUs or things like that. It's not that you have to pigeonhole yourself to only doing one type of service or one type of build, but as far as your marketing, your position in the marketplace, it should be very defined, very specific, and you want to be going after a higher type clientele typically, or someone who's got a problem that they're willing to pay well for. Maybe modifying homes to help with, disability or aging in place type of remodeling. There's all these niches that you can better well define, and people will pay you handsomely for. We remodel homes. Well, you and the other 100 contractors in your city or area, right? Once you are that specific, then you can start figuring out the demographics, the psychographics of your clients. And this may seem like too much or not necessary, but when you know your client better than they know you, when your marketing and messaging can speak specifically to who you want, you start attracting those people and you become just the right fit for them. They see your website and they may have looked at 5 other ones, but they just know right away, this is the business for me. And it just makes your sales so much easier. Now, the third foundation is what actually grows a construction business exponentially and gives you some real consistency year after year after year. And that is impressing the clients. And every business I talk to, essentially, every contractor is saying, we do great work. We care about our clients. We have good quality. We have good communication. Not all of them, but most. And that is just the lowest bar. You need to really have a system in place to nurture new leads, to nurture clients, to have great communication, to have them be able to figure out what they need to on their own. And it should feel like a nice, smooth process for them. They call you as a lead. They've got a project. Yes, no problem. We'll take a look at it. This is how we do. We give you a ballpark. Then we give you a rough budget. Then we sign a pre-construction service agreement. This is about, what's going to cost. This is how long it's going to take. If you want to go through selections, this is our designer. So you're always a step ahead of them. And it just feels like they're just part of the process. You are the expert and there's no reason for them to work with another company, essentially. That is just the pre-construction up to the project. Once the project starts, you need to have a really good what to expect document that you can provide to your client so they know exactly what they're getting into before the project starts. This is how you communicate with our team. This is how our team will communicate with you. This is how you find your dashboard. This is how you find your files for our company. If you have an invoicing problem, this is who you talk to. We expect payments through these methods. So it eliminates about 90% of that, uncertainty from the client. And as a client, you want to eliminate uncertainty. That is their biggest stress, is they don't really know about construction. Is it going to be dirty? Is it going to be messy? Are they going to take an extra 6 months? Is, the regulations, am I going to get screwed over by a bad inspector or whatever, right? So there's all these uncertainties that run through their mind, and you should be addressing those before the project starts. If there is any issues, this is who you talk to, but here's all the common things. This is what you can expect through the project. You're going to be excited. We're getting started. Up goes the framing and everything else. Then we get into rough-ins, and then there's all these decisions or things that need to be made. Then the finishing seems to take forever or whatever, right? So you want to pre-game them and prep them so they have a great experience and they know what to expect. Even if the building process doesn't go smoothly, there's always something that comes up, but they're prepared for it. And then you need to have a way to generate referrals consistently from every client. If you're doing everything I mentioned so far, your client should have a great experience. You should be pre-planning your projects and things should be running fairly smoothly. You should be asking clients and planting seeds in their mind of referrals. So even before you get started, I would say, hey, we're going to do a great job for you. It comes up that our clients sometimes have friends, neighbors, family who want to build a home or whatever service you provide. If that comes up, the best way to refer them to us is, just give them my number or send their number to me and I'll give them a call, or send them the short email, give the client a template. It sets you up as an expert. It warms up their thoughts that, oh, this company, is a good one to refer people to and what have you. Then mid-project and end project, similar type thing where you're going to essentially ask anybody else that you know in the neighborhood, whatever, right? So that you have those touch points with the client and you want to make it natural, used to the situation that, oh, if someone talks about this, I can refer this builder. And then after the project's done, 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, every year after that at least, or maybe even 6 months, give the client a call. How you doing? Are you still happy with your house? How's the kids? How's, whatever going on? Quick 5 to 10 minute conversation just to keep the relationship warm. Plant the seed again. If you're planning on doing any other projects or you know anybody, feel free to refer them out. Love doing great work. We got a lot of stuff going on right now, and we're projecting it's about a 1 year wait right now, or 6 month wait, or whatever it is, so that they know that you're being proactive to them, that you want to get any referrals in your pipeline as soon as possible. So you can see how that conversation is a lot more natural, and you're still positioning yourself as a valuable asset to the client and generating referrals. That first set should set you up really nicely with the foundations to have a strong lead gen and marketing prowess in your niche or your ocean, if you will. The next step is super critical. It has helped my clients make, millions scale. And this one is all about, making millions in your business. There's the 3 different parts to this making millions step. And the first one is maximizing profit margins, because you need to have healthy profit margins in order to scale your business and invest back in your company, as well as just get past the troubled waters of cash flow inconsistencies that can come up while you're scaling your business. So a $15 million construction company running at 5% net margins is making less money than a $5 million company running at 16% margins. And that's something that it took me a long time to realize, because when I started my construction company, I just wanted to grow as fast as I could and scale up to millions of dollars in revenue. But I didn't realize how important the profitability and profit margins was, because what you're charging at this level and the margins that you're making are probably not enough to get you to that next level, because as you scale, there's going to be more money going out. You're going to have more overhead. You're probably hiring more managers. So your pricing needs to be in line, and you need to be able to get the margins that will enable the growth for you. Some of the key things to watch for with your margins for profitability is you want to keep your overhead low, but you want to allocate overhead in the right way so that you're not shooting yourself in the foot by saying, oh, I want to keep my overhead very low. And so I'm not going to spend on, marketing or consulting or, get some additional help like assistants or project manager for my company. You need to be pricing that into your model. So when you price a job, you should have enough overhead there to run your company really well and afford what you want to with the company. And you should also be including project management. This is the one that I see a lot of people missing, where they've kind of included project management in their margins without realizing how much it costs to actually hire a project manager or scale up a project management team. Maybe you've got one now, but you want to get two or three. What does that look like? And how much revenue do those project managers need to get done in projects in order to pay for their wages and make it viable for your company? And then you can, backtrack to leads and stuff like that. So margins is very much by the numbers. Now that is just how to price properly, how to maximize your profit and what we do for our clients is building efficient systems through the business. There's a lot of inefficiencies in a typical construction business where just by making good implementation of scheduling, of quality control checklists, of communications, leadership, organization, there's a whole bunch of stuff, building in automations and software. There's a lot that goes into it, but all of those combine to help increase the profit margin by numbers of percentage, which equal hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially in additional profits, depending on the size of your business, but typically anywhere from 3 to 5% additional profit margins just through having good systems in place and being able to track everything and having everybody on the same page. And this approach is the reason why we have a nearly 100% success rate with our clients. So if you want to build systems in your company and implement this strategy so you can grow your business comfortably, then click the link in the description to apply to work with us. Now, as I mentioned, if you want to build systems in your business, there's a number of key functions of the business where you need to build systems, and it can get really confusing, complicated. You might be thinking like, where do I start? There's all this different stuff. So the big systems that we typically work with clients and sort of the process that we work through, very often we will look at the foundation steps that I mentioned earlier, the lead generation, the marketing, the estimating, and the pre-construction process. All of that stuff that brings in new clients and helps them get to a construction contract. That is often a place that is not functioning very well and is not efficient, and where a lot of money gets left on the table for a lot of builders because their closing ratios aren't high enough, or if their closing ratios are high, they are not pricing effectively. And that's typically the reason why the sales are kind of easy, because they've underpriced themselves, which causes a whole bunch of issues later on, profitability and affordability with the rest of the business. So the big ones with lead gen, mentioned some of the foundation steps there. The pre-construction process, essentially give a ballpark budget early on. You want to have a lead intake, so you're getting all their information, knowing very soon, is this a qualified lead? And you should have questions, and typically your secretary or assistant will field that call, ask the questions, or it could be an intake form on your website to know, is this a qualified lead? You give them a call, you give them a ballpark budget. If they want to build a house for like $300,000 and you know you're not building anything for under $500,000 or $600,000, given the square footage they want, then you tell them right away. You don't want to just push them to the side, but you want to make sure you're taking the time with people that are qualified and are in alignment with you. See far too many contractors doing estimates and chasing projects that were kind of doomed from the beginning because there just isn't alignment, or the client is so far out to lunch on the numbers or whatever, and they'll kind of string you along like, yeah, sounds good, without ever giving you a budget. You want to get rid of that early on and just present yourself as the professional. So once you pass that step, then you provide a rough budget. A rough budget is detailed as far as it'll have the line items, and you work from a template, so it shouldn't take you that long, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours. You're doing typical takeoffs, which you can use, AI for or whatever, and you're just doing sort of bulk pricing, generalized pricing. You're not spending a whole ton of time, but it should get them somewhere pretty close in a rough budget stage so that they know how much it's going to cost. Typically, you're providing that all for free. Now, you could charge for that rough budget, but most places, if you start charging for estimates, you may have a drop off of clients, but it depends how busy you are. Now you move into the drill down budget, and this is where you sign a pre-construction agreement with the client so that you have an agreement that you'll be charging for your time to budget, estimate. You'll be charging for your time to schedule the project, to do any permitting that needs to be done, any design work, whether that's your own designers or architect, plan revisions, any work that you're doing on their project for the pre-construction, they're going to pay for, and they should pay for. Don't do that for free. If they just want to find someone who's going to do a whole bunch of free labor for them and string them along, send them to your competitors. If it's a bad client, or if they just are out to lunch, send them somewhere else, let someone else deal with it. You'll thank yourself. It may seem like an opportunity lost, but it's really, really not. And you'll have the clients that you work with who are like, makes sense to get in a pre-construction agreement. They will be the ones who are going to be great to work with and a lot more on the same page as you and working down. So that is one system. That's a big process. Obviously, there's a lot of little stuff in there. From there, project management management, it boils down to having some good software in place, project management software. I've got a number of ones I like to use. Typically, JobTread, BuildExact are good. Those are top 2 recommendations for me on the residential side. Now, have that in place. Scheduling, have your project scheduled out ahead of time, and then checklist. Project start checklist, a pre-construction checklist, framing checklist, foundation, rough-in, finishing, quality control checklist. Just by having good scheduling and quality control checklists and then a few other checklists for starting and stopping, like finishing the project, you're already going to be well ahead and you'll find huge efficiencies in your business just by implementing those. Those are the big ones. Then beyond the project management there's a whole bunch of communication stuff with the client that I'm not going to get into here, but the what to expect document that I mentioned, as well as like a dashboard or some way that they can access their information, goes a long way. Financial systems. This is imperative. You need to have good books in place. Your chart of accounts should be structured properly so you know your cost of goods sold. So every project related expense is separated in its own category, and then overhead is separated in its own category so that you know how much margin is overhead, what your cost of goods is, so you know your gross profit, and then your net profit after everything. And that overhead percentage, you use that for your pricing. So you know if I've got it running a 15% overhead margin, my markup probably needs to be about 20% in order to cover that 15% margin. I'm not going to get into both of those. There's a whole lot of depth to this, but I'm just trying to give you the big picture and get you started on the right track here with the things that are going to give you the most bang for your buck. Now, you can go into job costing so you know exactly how much you spend on every project. That takes some technical setup and things like that, but that is something where you want to go. And then HR systems is another one that I find gets neglected because everything else seems more important. But HR systems, essentially just having job descriptions, roles, responsibilities, key performance indicators so that every employee knows this is what I do at the company. These are the things I'm responsible for. This is how success is measured. Often we have employees that were like, oh, they're not being effective. They're not doing this thing that I asked them to, but we haven't communicated what does success look like for them? What do we expect from them? It's all very loose communication. So having a document specifically for that. And then your hiring systems as well is super important because you want to bring the right people into the business. If you're trying to run a good business with mediocre people, you're going to have a rough time. Systems and the processes and the documentation will help, but you do need good people and you need a system for bringing in good people. Now, my process for implementing systems is the first thing I look at is, what's the overall process? So get everything written down, A to Z, pre-construction. What do we do? What are the steps? What are the documents? What is the information? Get it out of your head, your manager's head, or whoever runs this process. Get it on paper and then ask yourself, what can we simplify? What can we eliminate? What can we automate? You need to start there. You want to simplify, automate, eliminate, get it cleaned up, automate as much as you can, simplify everything else. And then from there, that is where you start to implement, improve, figure out what is your standard operating procedure, and then create training materials around that. So training video, training documentation, scorecards, all of these kind of additional assets to that position so that person knows what they should be doing, knows how success is measured, and all of those good things. Now, I've mentioned a whole bunch of systems here. Normally, we start kind of close to the beginning with lead gen pre-construction. Financials, there's a lot. Pick out what is the one thing you want to work on. This is another common thing when clients come to us. It's like we've tried to put in systems. We got this project management software. We've got some SOPs. Our finances are kind of okay, and you can tell that they have no focus. When we start working with someone, we do a big assessment, and then we focus on one thing. Okay, let's say your biggest pain point right now or biggest opportunity is estimating. So let's get cost codes. Let's get some templates in there. Let's get a process. Let's optimize your sales part of it, how it ties into estimating. So there's all this stuff, right? So focus on one function, one area, work on that thing till it's like 80, 90%, then move on to the next. And that's how we systemize a construction company. Well, part 3 of building systems, and I mentioned earlier, is hiring A players, having good people in your business. One bad project manager, estimator, site foreman, you probably had them before, it can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially in liability or mistakes that have been made, or even the more insidious types who are okay. They kind of get the job done. They're kind of too good to fire, but not good enough to really promote, and they just cause you problems. And you sort of know you probably should let them go and you wouldn't hire them again, but you don't necessarily want to let them go because they would, you would have to fill that role or it'd create chaos in your business. These are the types you want to avoid. And A players are 3 times or more harder to find. They typically cost you maybe 20 to 30% more than the other guy, but they will last a lot longer. They'll make your life much better. And that's why you need to be able to not hire too fast. It can feel like, oh, I want to hire this person. I like them. They seem good. There's no other good candidates. So you rush into hiring. But when you're thinking about, I want to hire this person for the next 3 years to 5 years, maybe more, you really want to be sure and you're not making a quick, 1 week, 2 week, even 1 month decision on somebody who's going to be at your company for years and years to come. So how do you hire and find good A players? It all starts with, you'll have a job description, let's say a carpenter or a project manager, and you want to describe who is the perfect person for that job. If you could have the best A player, the best project manager, who is that person? And typically you're going to think back to a great project manager you hired or maybe you worked with in the past. What made them great? Oh, they communicated well, they had a hard work ethic, they had a background in whatever trade, generally good mannered, they had a family. So there's all these kind of attributes and ways that they worked and the experience they had that makes them a great fit for that person. So you need an ideal employee profile. Now that you know who's the ideal person, what an A player actually is, now you can write a job description so that when you put the ad out on, the different listing sites online, and you're speaking to specifically someone like that, you're listing exactly what their attributes are, their experience. Obviously, you can't use demographics to eliminate people, but the kind of the psychographics, their experience, the wording that you put in there will attract certain types of people. And you want to attract that A player, that ideal employee. From there, you're going to get a whole bunch of emails, resumes. You'll filter through those. Typically, you'll pick the top 3. If there's no good ones, you may have to wait and just realize that it's better to have your business a little bit on the red line of needing someone and waiting for the right person than trying to fill the position too fast. Much better to kind of just stay a little bit busier and keep everybody, working full tilt for a couple of months until you can find the right person for whatever position that may be. Once you figure the selections of the top 2 to 3, give them a call. Do they answer the phone? Do they get back by voicemail? How do they sound on the phone? Do they communicate well? You can tell a lot. Ask them the deal breakers. Do you have your own vehicle? Can you legally work? Are you afraid of heights if they're a labor or something like that? So ask them specific questions of deal breakers and then just get a little bit of a feel of, are they actually telling the truth about their experience? So you worked at such and such a company. How long did you work there? And just kind of cross-reference, double check the resume that they didn't hopefully make up a bunch of stuff and they sound legitimate from what they portrayed themselves as. Considering they pass everything, that is when you will then schedule a longer interview. Typically 60 minutes. I like to do in-person interviews at a coffee shop, and then you can have kind of back-to-back interviews with 2 or 3 people. Just schedule them 1 hour apart. Hopefully they all show up on time. Bring your laptop to do a bit of work on the side if whatever you need to fill some gaps, or have them come to the site potentially, but usually I would be meeting them one-on-one. But you could do a site interview as well and just interview them at the site. That is the first interview. If this is a labor position, that may be enough, but typically I'd want probably 2, maybe even 3 interviews with anybody in management or a foreman, anybody in an office role. So typically they'll have an interview with you. Then you have somebody else on your team interview them. So if you've got a project manager or a sort of senior manager, they will have a meet and greet with them, or a site guy. If you have a new laborer, do the interview yourself, then tell your foreman, hey, I'm going to send you someone tomorrow. He's going to come talk to you. I think he's a good fit, but I want you to tell me, because I've seen it time and time again, and it's happened to me too, where as the owner, you are generally optimistic. Maybe you're a people person. Maybe you give people the shadow of the doubt and everything looks good. And then you send them to your site guy and they're like, man, this guy is a clown. I don't think he's going to work out. It just didn't present himself well. And sometimes your site guys will be pretty insightful because they're around those types of people and they know the work environment. You may have been removed from, the site work for quite some time. So you want to get multiple interviews and then due diligence. So background checks if you need it, calling past employers, maybe references for landlords or things like that. So good due diligence process. Considering they pass everything there, then you need a really great onboarding process so that they have everything they need. They know the training, they know what's expected, and they can just kind of fill and move into the role. role, because the last thing you want is to hire an A player and then have a bad onboarding and systems, professionalism of a business. Because an A player wants to work with an A player business. And that's, I think, another thing a lot of people don't understand is great people don't stay with mediocre businesses. They want to work somewhere great. They want to be treated fairly. They want to be paid well. But more importantly, they want something that there's not a lot of drama all the time. There's systems in place. They get paid on time. They know how everything works. They have someone training them and building them up so that they're not just there for the paycheck, but they're there to learn, to be part of the team, good culture. All of those kind of things matter a lot to a good A player who's going to fit in with your team. So you got to define the rest of your business and make sure that it's kind of like a welcome home for them when they arrive into your business. Everything that you've learned so far is super valuable, but without step 3, you can't really grow a construction company and scale it up. Step number 3 is getting a lot of clients, not just a lot of leads, but a lot of clients, and high quality clients that are not going to nickel and dime you. Most contractors are still struggling, even though it's not that complicated. I've helped contractors get hundreds of different projects and get projects that they wanted in their niche. A lot of guys I've started with are kind of like, we're doing home building, we're doing remodeling, maybe we're doing, this service or that service. It's like, are you a home builder? Are you a remodeler? Are you Mr. Fix-It handyman? Like, what is your business? Let's clarify that. And that's what we did in the foundation. But now I'm going to be sharing with you how to get a lot of clients and really improve your lead gen. How you want to be thinking about this is you want to have a lot of like multi-channel marketing. You want a lot of different areas where you're generating leads from. That's going to bring consistency, and every one helps strengthen the other. It's like a lot of streams of leads that flow into a big river, which is your lead gen strategy for your business. Now, there's obviously a lot of stuff on social media and online advertising, SEO, websites, all that stuff. But what you want to essentially create is a very strong network. And this is where a lot of contractors kind of neglect, because you want the easy way, I understand it, where it's like, we'll just put out some content, we'll just pay for some ads and generate clients. But if you want really good referrals, high closing ratios, finding the right types of people, you want to be in the right circles, and you want to be partnering with other businesses that are in adjacent niches but have similar clients. This could be architects, interior designers, real estate agents, developers, engineers, property managers, investors. There's a lot of people that have your exact same client that would be great referral connections for you. And you always want to approach them with, not like you're looking for leads or you're just interested in getting referrals from them, that you have clients and you want to know great people, because that team is more valuable than just your standalone company. When clients know they can go to you and you can connect them with a great mortgage broker, a good real estate agent, great interior designer, architect, whoever, you then become much more valuable as a person, because you're not just looking out after them just for the house that you're going to build. You're looking out for them with everything to do around their home, financing it, finding the right people to bring in, the design, all of that stuff. So this is how you get into those by circles. The best way to do this is you can just search online for those businesses, local business networking groups. I don't like spending a lot of time in networking groups. So if you're just starting out, it's probably a good idea, but go to business groups that make sense, like your Home Builders Association, maybe associations with these types of, realtors, architects, builders, like that kind of stuff. Otherwise, you can search on LinkedIn for specific people. If you put in your city name and the type of person you want to connect with, architects, there's probably a whole bunch that come up, and some of them may respond to you, some of them may not, but those are the people, at least you can find them. You can hopefully find a phone number or email or something and reach out to them, send them a message on LinkedIn, connection, whatever you need to do. Keep them in your CRM database as well, because after a while, you'll have lists of people that you can connect with, you can reach out to, you can send an email out to, whatever it may be. And this will give you a great base of referrals, of connections that you can refer and refer back to. Now, obviously, referrals are like your strongest type of lead you can get. And as I mentioned earlier, you want to have a referral system or program in your company. And I mentioned a number of ways, but just to even go a little deeper on this, whenever you get referred someone, you should be sending that person a very good thank you and a gift. So if one of your clients sends you somebody, or one of these referral partners that I just mentioned send you somebody, even if the project doesn't work out, even if it's not a good fit, then send them $20 gift card to like coffee shop, or could be $30 or $40, whatever you feel is the right way to do it. But send them a little gift in the mail, give them a phone call, just let them know, keep it short. You don't want people to feel like they need to be the middleman when they refer someone. So if I'm referring, my builder to my neighbor, if then I need to like talk with my neighbor about the builder and the builder's asking me to communicate with them because they couldn't get a hold of them, and I've kind of like, you don't want to make more work for the person referring. If you need to follow up, but essentially they should be able to hand it off to you. You take it from them. You give them the refer a call and just say, really appreciate you referring your neighbor to us. I want to send you a little gift so you can expect something in the mail. Just want to let you know that, super appreciate it. And no matter which way it goes, we're going to take good care of them. That way you grease the wheels. They know, hey, if I refer more people, I'll get, more stuff, and they appreciate it. If it's a referral partner, like a realtor or architect, then you may want to provide something more, maybe financially. The best solution is you refer to them, they refer to you, and it kind of tit for tat stays about the same. But if it's a big project, they send you $1 million home build project, send them a nice gift of like a gift card to a nice steakhouse, or maybe even just cut them a check for, a small percentage of the project or whatever. And you can put that into the project pricing, right? So it's not taking away from your profit. You're just adding a little extra in there, and you can send it off to whoever referred it over to you. The beauty of this method is you're looking for people who are going to refer and continue to refer projects to you. So like the architect, they could have 2, 3, 4 projects a year that they get you to estimate. A good client, maybe once per year they refer to you, and then the next client once per year. So every client should turn into 2 more clients over the next 2 to 3 years. That is the goal of every client, and that's how you grow exponentially. Yes, you're still going to do the marketing and lead gen stuff that I mentioned with social media and online advertising, having a good website, doing SEO, blog posts, all that stuff's important. But what it boils down to is you want 1 client turning into 2 clients, turning into 4 clients, and that's how you grow this really strong base. The third method I'm going to mention about getting a lot of clients is your physical marketing. And this is another area where most contractors understand it, but don't really have a good conception of how it all ties together. So physical marketing, at the very least, you want a nice sign, some good signage on each property that you're working on. Door hangers, so walk the block, walk 2, 3, 4 blocks around. It doesn't have to be you. It could be one of your laborers or an assistant or whoever, and go and put door hangers on the neighbors saying, hey, we're working in the area. If you notice anything out of place, or if you're interested in our services, please reach out to us. Have like a QR code to the website, your phone number, whatever it is. You want to put it not as you're advertising specifically for your services, but you're in the neighborhood and you want to let them know and open that communication. I would also say if you've got a salesperson, it could be a project manager potentially, but probably more like you as the owner if you're a smaller company, or a really good assistant who's like good with communicating, like secretary type. Go and do a bit of door knocking in the neighborhood or the couple of neighborhoods and just say, hey, I'm so-and-so from such and such. Just wanted to say that we're going to be working next door or down the road. If you notice anything out of place, like some garbage or it looks messy or something looks whatever, call us and let us know. Now you might be thinking this is opening the doors to a lot of calls and a lot of problems that I don't want, but you'll be surprised how few people take the time to actually call and care about this stuff. You might have that one pesky neighbor who's like a bit of a nuisance, but at the end of the day, better to have them in communication with you than to be upset or pissed off or whatever, right? And sometimes they can find things like someone's trying to grab some materials from site, or things look out of place, or something got broken, right? And they could alert you sooner than maybe your guys will know about it or over the weekend or whatever. The other part is sponsoring like the local kids ball game, maybe get them some hats or like a plaque at the ballpark or whatever. So some local marketing Facebook groups are good for this as well, where yes, it's not like physical, but you're in the community essentially. You want to be doing that community type of marketing, have a wrap on your truck. All of those things tie together so that the neighbor sees your sign, they see your guys with the nice shirts on, with your company logos, they see your truck coming and going, or your project project manager truck and coming and going with a wrap on it. They get the door hanger, they get the call, right? And this is over a period of whatever, 6 months to a year, depending how long the home takes or the project or whatever. And you can really warm up a neighborhood that way, and you become the local neighborhood contractor. Who are they going to think about the next time they need someone or need to refer someone? It's going to be you. And this is the strategy that's made over an estimated $5 million in profit for our clients. But if you try to implement this yourself, it will take time to properly execute, but it is absolutely worth it. So if you want to grow your construction business by building systems, implementing the strategies that have made our clients over $30 million in revenue, click the link in the description to work with us. And if you want to see how I scaled one of my clients, James Romano, to $5 million a year, then watch this video where I break it down for you.